Now broadcasting from beautiful downtown Tallahassee, it's Classic Movie Reviews with Snark.
Welcome to today's show. My name is John. As always, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes or follow the links to social media in the podcast show notes. You can also go to snarkymoviereviews.com to read notes, bios, and other random movie thoughts. Today's movie is a remake of Out of the Past, 1947, and is titled Against All Odds, 1984. This movie has some great actors and a few from the original film. Rachel Ward played the lead female role, aka the woman that keeps killing people, Jessie Wyler. Ward was born in England in 1957. Her film career started out on fire. She was in Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, 1982, and Against All Odds, 1984. And then, as far as the big star thing goes, she just sort of got shoved aside. She has been successful at directing and writing. Jeff Bridges played down-and-out football player Terry Brogan. This is the equivalent of the part played by Robert Mitchum in Out of the Past, 1947. Bridges, born in 1947, is the son of famous actor Lloyd Bridges. Jeff and his older brother Bo grew up around Hollywood and occasionally showed up in one of their parents' programs. Around the age of 20, Bridges started working in films. He hit gold with The Last Picture Show, 1971, co-starring Sybil Shepherd. Bridges was nominated for the Best Supporting Actor Oscar. The rest of the 1970s were spent in supporting roles in films such as Fat City, 1972, Bad Company, 1972, his pseudo Junior Johnson stock car racer in The Last American Hero, 1973, The Iceman Cometh, 1973, as a bank robber with Clint Eastwood in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, 1974, where he earned a second Oscar nomination, Rancho Deluxe, 1975, Hearts of the West, 1975, a remake of King Kong, 1976, and Winter Kills, 1979. In the 1980s, Bridges' laid-back style began to produce dividends. One of these movies was the groundbreaking science fiction thriller Tron, 1982. Another movie during this period was The Fabulous Baker Boys, 1989, with his brother and Michelle Pfeiffer. He really got noticed for the sci-fi film Starman, 1984, where he played with a deadpan face, maybe half-tarred. He received his third Oscar nomination for this film. He finished the decade with the quite enjoyable triumphant saga, Tucker, The Man in His Dreams, 1988. A good actor up to this point, the 1990s on turned him into a superstar. Some of his films include the enigmatic The Fisher King, 1991, American Heart, 1992, Fearless, 1993, The Big Lebowski, 1998, The Dude Abides, then The Contender, 2000, where he played the coolest American president ever and received his fourth Oscar nomination. As a shaved-headed villain in Iron Man, 2008, he was amazing in Crazy Heart, 2009, playing a drunken down-and-out country singer. He won the Best Actor Oscar for his portrayal in Crazy Heart. He reprised his role as Flynn in Tron Legacy, 2010, before finishing up that decade with True Grit, 2010, and another Oscar nomination. James Woods played the bad guy Jake Wise, the equivalent character of Wit in Out of the Past, 1947. Woods was also born in 1947 in Utah. Woods was raised in Rhode Island and was at MIT for a short time. In 1967, Woods and a friend went to New York for stage work. He obtained his first movie role in All the Way Home, 1971. This was followed by bit roles in The Way We Were, 1973, and The Choir Boys, 1977. His first big break was as a cop killer in The Onion Fields, 1979. Other good movies for Wood include Once Upon a Time in America, 1984, Salvador, 1986, Casino, 1995, as a racist killer in Ghost of Mississippi, 1996, and as a sleazy team doctor in Any Given Sunday, 1999. Of course, I enjoyed him as Hades in the animated Hercules, 1997. Alex Karras played the role of former football player and current trainer Hank Sully. Karras played football for the NFL Detroit Lions from 1958 to 62 and from 1964 to 70. While Karras is best known for his television show Webster, 1983 to 1989, I like to think he is best known as Mongo from Blazing Saddles, 1974. Oh, Mongo straight. He played a bodyguard in Victor Victoria, 1982, that came out after believing his boss was gay too. Karras died in 2012. Jane Greer, who played the role of Kathy in episode 54, Out of the Past, 1947, starred in Against All Odds, 1984, as Mrs. Weiler, the mother of the character she played in the first movie. Veteran actor Richard Widmark played the role of Ben Caxton, lawyer and business partner of Mrs. Weiler. Widmark was covered in episode 23, The Longships, 1964. Dorian Harwood played the role of Bookie Tommy. I guess he is closest to the Joe character from the original. Harwood is a prolific character actor with 167 total credits. Recently, he has been active in video games and animated voice work as well as a lot of television. However, he starred in quite a few enjoyable movies, including Grey Lady Down, 1978, Tank, 1984. I said enjoyable, not good. Against All Odds, 1984. The Falcon and the Snowman, 1986. Full Metal Jacket, 1987. And Gothica, 2003. Swoosie Kurtz played the role of the secretary, Edie, which was equivalent to Meta Carson. Except, however, that Edie was all good while Meta was all bad. Kurtz was educated in drama at the University of Southern California, and she attended the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts. She was successful on Broadway and television. She also has a decent career in movies. Saul Rubinek played the role of lawyer Steve Kirsch. Rubinek was born in a German refugee camp after World War II. His father ran a Yiddish theater company in the camp. The family later moved to Canada, where Rubinek became active in theater. He began working in Canadian movies and then American television. The first film where I took note of Rubinek was Against All Odds, 1984. He played such an insufferable ass as the lawyer, making him stand out among the supporting cast. Another movie where he played a jackass was Sweet Liberty, 1986, as a film director. Rubinek had parts in Wall Street, 1987, The Bonfire of the Vanities, 1990, a great role as an Eastern reporter in Unforgiven, 1992, True Romance, 1993, Death Wish 5, The Face of Death, 1994, I believe without Bronson. He was in Nixon, 1995, the great film The Contender, 2000 with Jeff Bridges, and Rush Hour 2. He continues to work and make films. Bill McKinney played head coach, and he was a bastard. McKinney was born in Tennessee in 1931. He joined the Navy at the age of 19 during the Korean conflict. It was during his time in the Navy that McKinney decided he wanted to be an actor. In 1957, he attended the Pasadena Playhouse with classmates Mako and Dustin Hoffman. He was then admitted to the Actors Studio and studied under Lee Strasberg. McKinney's best-known role is in Deliverance, 1972, as the hillbilly buggerer of Ned Beatty's character. He was in a rodeo drama, Junior Bonner, 1972, which was directed by Sam Peckinpah. He was also in The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean, 1972, which was directed by John Huston. McKinney met Clint Eastwood while making Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, 1974, which also starred Jeff Bridges. This led McKinney to be cast as a totally evil Red Legs Taylor in The Outlawed Josie Wales, 1976. McKinney was in a total of 6 Eastwood films, including The Gauntlet, 1977, Every Which Way But Loose, 1978, Bronco Billy, 1980, and Pink Cadillac, 1989. Other great movies with McKinney include The Shootist, 1976, as the enemy of John Wayne's character, the Rambo film First Blood, 1982, Heart Like a Wheel, 1983, where he played a drag racer with Jeff Bridges' brother Bo, Against All Odds, 1984, Back to the Future 3, 1990, and The Green Mile, 1999. Bill McKinney died in 2011 at the age of 80. Story. This movie begins in flashback mode like any good film noir. Terry Brogan, Jeff Bridges, is in Cozumel, Mexico looking for a girl. Not just any girl, he has a picture and is looking for a specific girl. There are some very nice exteriors of the island before it became just another love boat port. He falls asleep in a restaurant as a tribute to the original film. The scene flashes back to a practice field for the fictitious Los Angeles Outlaws pro football team. Brogan is doing a good job at practice, but the head coach, Bill McKinney, calls him aside and says that he doesn't think Brogan's shoulder has recovered from an operation.
Brogan! 36! I didn't like what I saw out there on Sunday.
What are you talking about? I caught the winning touchdown.
You missed that crackback block on Cooper's run. You were worried about your shoulder.
He makes him hit the tackling sled until the shoulder is injured again. All the time, this action is being protested by trainer and friend of Brogan, Hank Sully, Alex Karras. Ben Caxton, Richard Widmark, and partner of the team owner, Mrs. Weiler, Jane Greer, comes to visit with a county supervisor, and Sully is really rude to them.
We had to play a lot of ball players that were injured that shouldn't have been playing.
Well, that's part of the job. You telling us you never played injured?
Yeah, well, that was dumb. I just don't like the idea of my boys getting hurt permanently.
You can see why they call him Mother.
Yeah, well, I don't know anything about being a supervisor, and I sure as hell don't know anything about being a lawyer. Of course, if I was a lawyer, I guess I wouldn't know shit about football, would I? Excuse me.
After practice, the coach puts Brogan on waivers, a.k.a. fired. He tries to call his lawyer, Kirsch, Saul Rubinek, but can't get past his secretary, Edie, Swoozy Kurtz. Edie has a crush on Brogan and tries to help, but Kirsch still won't see him. Outside the practice facility, Sully and Brogan commiserate, and Sully tells him he won't be paid out for his injury. Brogan goes to the office of the lawyer, and Edie meets him in the reception room. Brogan pushes into Kirsch's office, and Kirsch shines him on. Kirsch has to leave for a reception for Councilman Weinberg, Paul Valentine, who played Joe in Out of the Past 1947. Edie feeds Brogan the details and tells him where she drinks after work. Sometime later, Brogan is running at the practice field when Tommy, Dorian Harwood, comes out of the shadows and tells him that Jake, James Woods, wants to see him. Tommy also tells him that Jake got stabbed last week. Brogan meets Jake at the beach, and Jake explains his gambling business. They race cars back to Jake's club. Jake wins the race because he is crazier. At the bar, Jake tells Brogan that his girlfriend, Jessie Weiler, Rachel Ward, stabbed him and stole $50,000 from him. He wants to pay Brogan to find her. Oh, when she just happens to be the daughter of Outlaws team owner, Mrs. Weiler. Jake also blackmails Brogan to take the job, or he will expose a point-shaving scheme. Brogan goes to see Mrs. Weiler, and she knows right away that Jake has sent him to look for Jessie. Mrs. Weiler says she will double what Jake is paying and give him his job back with the Outlaws. She also tells Brogan where Jessie is drawing out money in Mexico. Caxton, who shows up at this point, sort of balks at the offer. Brogan refuses the offer and they throw him out of the club. Caxton also says Kirsch is on his team and Brogan will have to sue. The next scene is at the reception where they are modeling the development of a pristine canyon. Bob Soames, one of the commissioners, and some members of the Sierra Club who are against the project show up, and Mrs. Weiler charms them. Brogan shows up and has a scuffle with Kirsch and is thrown out of the reception. Sully warns Brogan to stay away from Jake. Brogan won't take a coaching job because he thinks he can still play. The timeline flashes forward to Cozumel, where Brogan is still looking for Jessie. The timeline flashes forward to Cozumel, where Brogan is still looking for Jessie. He finally sees her and tries to talk to her. She knows he has been sent by Jake or her mother, so she avoids his advance. In the morning, he sees her catch a ferry to Tulum, a Mayan site on the mainland. He charters a boat and follows. Tulum is the Mayan site where the people raised bees, and some of the iconography there has been deemed to be ancient alien astronaut. Anyway, Jessie is a spoiled brat, and Brogan takes off.
Jake sent you.
Maybe your mother did.
Hey, I wouldn't know which one of them had more to threaten you with.
She, of course, can't stand being left. Jessie tracks Brogan down, and they begin a steamy love affair. Brogan confesses that he shaved points, and Jessie says she didn't steal Jake's money. Brogan leaves on a few-week trip to throw Jake off. When he comes back, he meets Jessica at Chichen Itza. She admits that she has stolen Jake's money.
Money in Mexico City.
What do you mean? Whose money?
Mine.
Yours.
Jake's.
Of your freedom? I'm keeping you from your money in Mexico City?
Twisting what I'm saying.
Hey, Jesus, I love you. You've become everything I'm about. Don't you understand that?
Can't anyone love me without it being life or death to them?
You know, most people are afraid they're never going to be lovely.
They head to the sweat house and are having sex when Sully pops in. Sully says he is working for Jake, and if he can find them, anyone can. He also says he has been feeding Jake gambling information. Sully warns Brogan that Jessie is no good. Sully pulls a gun and the two men get into a fight. As they are struggling, Jessie shoots Sully. So if you're keeping score, that's one stabbing and one murder. Jessie wants to run away, but Brogan wants to help the wounded Sully. Jesse runs out on Brogan and he has to get rid of the body alone. He carries the body to the cenote of sacrifice and drops Sully into the water below. Brogan makes his way back to L.A. Brogan goes to see Jake and tells him he can't be blackmailed by the point shaving anymore. About that time, Jessie comes in as she has run back to Jake and told him the whole tale. So Jake forces Brogan to do one more job for him, but it's a setup. Or, it's a trap! At Jake's club, Brogan is seated with Kirsch so they can have a public conflict. Brogan also sees that Jake has a hold on Councilman Soames as well. Jake tells Brogan that Kirsch is part of the gambling operation as well. Jake wants Brogan to steal the files about gambling that Kirsch has in his office.
The asshole's got files on me.
Oh, and I'm the dumb fuck who's supposed to get him for you?
He's got records of the games, of the business I did with the players. Do you know who that includes, Terry? What, you got no smart mouth remark for that one?
After Brogan leaves the club, he goes to Jesse, and they have a rough makeout. Brogan leaves and breaks into Kirsch's office. He finds that the lawyer has already been murdered. A thug security guard tries to frame Brogan, but he fights him off and then hides Kirsch's body. Brogan goes to the bar where Edie hangs out. She helps him retrieve the files that Brogan was sent for. Edie has a run-in with a Doberman, and Brogan has to fight off the two security guards with Edie's help, and they get away with the file. Jesse runs back to Mama and asks for Caxton.
Looking well.
I need to see Ben.
I've missed you.
Please get Ben, Mother, please.
Oh, he's much too busy celebrating. Bob Soames changed his vote on Weiler Canyon. What do you want with Ben?
I just want to talk to him about something.
She tells him that Jake had Kirsch killed and that he has been betting on the Outlaws. What she doesn't know is that Jake works for Caxton. Caxton set up a meeting between himself, Brogan, Tommy, Jesse, and Jake at the Canyon construction site. At the site, Brogan manages to disarm Tommy and take his gun. Brogan says the price for the files is slapping down Jake.
What's your deal, Brogan?
I just found out tonight Jake jumps for you. Slap him down. It's really that fucking simple, Caxton. I'll keep the stuff from Kirsch's safe until I'm satisfied.
Well, that can be arranged.
Caxton says he can do that. Jake pulls his gun and holds it on Jesse. Brogan drops his gun. Jake is holding the gun on the three men when Jesse picks up Brogan's gun and kills Jake. So the score is 1 stabbing and 2 shooting murders. But I guess one of the murder victims was also the stabbing victim, so you can count that however you want. Caxton says he can take care of everything if Jesse goes back to her mother. Brogan leaves Jesse alone and gives the files to Caxton. Some months later, at the opening of the Canyon development, Brogan comes to see Jesse. Caxton talks to him. Brogan is going to play football again, and he will be back for Jesse one day.
I'll be ready. A couple of good years and I'll quit on my own terms.
So you're going to leave L.A. Good.
Look, when you need me in court, I'll be there for her.
But forget anything else. Remember, Brogan, you're out of her life.
Figure that's up to her. You're not going to control us forever. Believe me.
They just stare at each other lovingly and know their time will come. World famous short summary? Bay kills but doesn't hit the 3 murder limit. Okay, folks, it's time to sign up for my email list as the free EPUB for subscribers will be released soon. It's around 200 pages, has 50 reviews that are cleaned and cross-referenced, and original artwork. If you want a copy, it's completely free to list members. If you enjoyed this week's show, please tell your friends, and if you really want to help, drop over to iTunes and give me a review. If you want to comment, recommend a movie, or just say hi, follow the links in the show notes to my site. Beware the Moors.